Let's move now to another personal testimony of some of those tragedies that are unfolding here in Israel. I'm joined by Eyal Harmati, the grandson of Varda Harmati, who was murdered by Hamas in Kibbutz Reim near the Israel-Gaza border. Firstly, thank you so very much for joining us here on our breaking news editions of the I-24 News Desk. How are you and your family? Are the rest of you safe?
Hi, thank you very much for having me. Me and the rest of my family are safe now. I live in Hod HaSharon, which is a little near the central of Israel. I have many family that lived in the kibbutz, in Kibbutz Reim. They're all in Eilat right now. They had to evict the kibbutz. They can't stay there right now. And unfortunately, we didn't even have a funeral yet for my grandma. So the situation is pretty bad, you know.
I can only but begin to try and imagine what you and your family must be going through. Can I ask you to talk a little bit about your grandmother and exactly what happened to her?
Yes, so it happened October 7th. I woke up in the morning at 6:30 to the first sirens. I was so confused. It never happened that we have sirens out in Hod HaSharon. I was really worried because there was nothing that indicated this prior to October 7th. And when I woke up in the morning, I called my sisters and my family to see if everybody's safe because I was very worried about everyone. I didn't know what was happening. I was scared. And then I got a call from my sister. She screamed at the phone. I can remember her screams until now. She was screaming, "Grandma was shot. Grandma was shot. She's dead. She's dead." And I just woke up. I was so confused. It's been half an hour. We didn't know what's happening, what's going on. And I was just so scared. I rushed to my sister's house. She lives next to me. And we were trying to process everything and trying to reach out to our family in the kibbutz. And we were texting our cousin. We were asking him, "Is this true? What's happening? Are you safe?" He was texting us from the shelter. "No, it's true. She was shot dead. She's in her bed. Boz found her. Boz is her partner." He rushed to her the moment he heard that terrorists are in the kibbutz. And he found her already dead in the bed. My grandma was such a loving person, and she would feed the neighborhood cat all the time. And she usually doesn't listen to all the alarms and all the warnings that she gets. So what we think happened is that she forgot to lock her house and she just went into the shelter. And then they broke into her house. That's what we think happened, but we don't really know if they broke in or the door wasn't locked. But it's just awful because she was helpless. She was an 81-year-old woman. She couldn't do anything. And we were speaking to our cousins to see if they're safe at least. They were hiding in their shelters. They couldn't speak on the phone because they couldn't make any noise because they were running into houses. They were breaking into houses. They were trying to burn houses for people to come out. One of my cousins, he got hit by a rocket fragment in his hand and he had to go through surgery, but he's safe now. And it's just awful that this is the end of her story because she was such a loving person. She had 2 kids, 7 grandchilds, and she had 1 great-granddaughter that was born less than 3 months ago. And all she wanted in the rest of her years alive was to spend time with family and, share her time with friends, family, cook for us, be with us. That's all they have left in that age. That's all they hold on to. She grew up in the kibbutz all of her life. She loved Israel so much. She loved her kibbutz. She would never leave it, not even when the worst times with the rockets and with all the terror attacks from the sky. But who would have thought that it would come into their own homes,
Just the images that we're seeing on the screen show just such a warm grandmother who just has almost just unconditional love for her children and her grandchildren. I understand your grandmother's partner, Boaz, as you mentioned, hid with her body for over 12 hours. At what point did anyone official get hold of your family to update you what had happened to your grandmother?
So they were actually in the house while she was dead for 28 hours before they came and evict her, because the kibbutz was under attack all day, and until the IDF and the security forces came and rescued them, it was not before like 11 p.m. and they couldn't even bring in, an ambulance or like anybody to come evict her, because there was so much terror going around, not only Kibbutz Reim, but Kibbutz Be'eri, which is right next to the kibbutz, and the whole kibbutz is near the strip. They were all going through their terrors, and there was just not enough force to even come evict her when the IDF took back control. So he laid next to her with her in the shelter for 28 hours before they could even come help them.
Eyal Harmati, the grandson of Varda Harmati, who was murdered by Hamas in Kibbutz Reim near the Israel-Gaza border. Eyal, our hearts and our thoughts are with you and your family, and hopefully you are able to put your grandmother to rest sometime soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.